right. Hello, wine-drinking people. We are back. It's October 27th. And, man, I had a lot of drinking yesterday. Last few days, actually. Last few weeks. It's been Olympic around here. But, like I said, we're getting ready to slow things down. And last night we had an event with Solita, our first event with this new restaurant on Las Olas. And I've known the chef there, Anthony Risoli, Radar, for quite some time. He used to work down in Mark's. And Johnny Sheehan was actually in the back kitchen. I haven't seen Johnny for a long time. He actually met Anthony, I think, working down at Mark's, and I worked with him at Cafe Max. So with these two guys in the kitchen, man, I was confident the food was going to be really nice. And it was. You know, Italian food to me should be simple. You don't need to put, you know, a dramatic presentation on the plate. You know, to me, it just needs to be fresh and prepared properly. And the eggplant parm dish that they did first was outstanding, layered with little cheese, fried with some red sauce, very fresh, very nice. And they put a little lounge area in the front here, which is really nice for a party like this, because we had like 40 people, and everybody was up in the front in this little lounge area, really comfortable. And we had a little Vermentino from the Guadaltasso property, really showing nicely with distinct minerality, lovely fruit, very clean. This Vermentino is. And we did have some pass-arounds. I'm trying to think if I got any of the pass-arounds. But, oh yeah, the poppers, the peppers, they were stuffed with cream cheese. Awesome. Those were ricotta cheese. Those were excellent. And again, it wasn't like just two flavors on the peppers were peeled, though, so they didn't have the bitter skin on them, and stuffed with some lovely ricotta cheese. Huh? Beautiful. And I forget what else. Maybe a little tuna on top of some crostinis. I was trying to run around and say hello to everybody, so I didn't get all the pass-arounds. But very nice. And we had a little bit of a snafu with the menu. You know, they had the wrong wine with the first course, so I walked around and kind of made sure everybody knew that the first wine was red and not the white that it had listed there. But they were drinking it. They knew for the most part. This Sabazzo, the Rosso di Montalcino, worked much better with the eggplant, with the tomato sauce. And tomato sauce, to me, needs red wine. It's hard to serve that with the white. But this is a Rosso di Montepulciano, not to be confused with the Rosso di Montalcino. Montepulciano is a town about 45 minutes south and to the west of Montalcino. And they do make similar wines, though. And I always tell people, if you want a real value from Italy, from Tuscany, Vino Nobile di Montepulciano was the least known. Well, now since they've elevated Morlino Scanzano, it is the least known. So I guess Vino Nobile is taking a step up here. But still, you can find wines for half the price as you do in Montalcino at a very similar quality level, like Antinori's new property here. The Sapazzo is fantastic and was a crowd favorite last night, $13.20, and went beautifully with the two courses it was served with. And then we had the Villa Antinori. This wine used to be called Chianti Classico until Antinori decided, hey, I want to put some Merlot in this, I want to put some Syrah in this, and Cabernet. Hey, it came up to more than he was allowed to put in. And he said, I'm Piero Antinori. I'm just going to take Chianti off the label and call it Villa Red. And nobody's going to notice. Well, some people did notice, but you know what? He is Piero Antinori, and the wine's still very successful today. Really nice little wine. Quite a bit bigger in size. Not quite as fresh as the Rosso, but, you know, the crowd was kind of split on which wine they liked better, the Villa Antinori or this Rosso. And then the veal course. Let me tell you, Anthony, Johnny, you guys cooked the veal perfect last night. I mean, it was beautiful. Pink. I mean, fantastic, tender, and yeah, there was some Brussels sprouts on the plate with some bacon. You know how to get to my heart, baby. A little pork product on the plate. But it wasn't. There was nothing spectacular about the presentations of any of the dishes last night. The squid ink pasta cooked perfectly. The salad, the arugula salad with just the right hint of truffle oil. I mean, everything was simple but done very well. Very well done. The only problem we had was, and they tried to pour the wine out of these little tiny decanters. It kind of slowed the wine service down. And by the end of the night, by the time we got our Tignanello, I think everybody had enough to drink and eat. And hey, we showed Tignanello, man. For $65, plus tax and plus tip, I mean, Tignanello is $100 by itself just to buy a bottle retail. This 06 is a classic vintage. Tignanello was created in 1971 when Piero Antinori applied for Chianti status with this wine. In order to get a DOCG status in Italy, you have to pass two tests. A written test. No, I'm just kidding. It's a tasting test where they taste the wine, the panel tastes it, and they decide whether it's typical of a wine from this region, and they have to pass a test showing what the wine is made up with. It has to be a certain amount of Sangiovese. Then they can only add X amount of other varietals, and then there's some varietals that they're not allowed to add. Hey, in 1971, used to have to add 10% Trebbiano and Malvasia, two white wines to Chianti, and Antinori said, I'm not doing that, and I'm going to put Cabernet in my wine. And they said, well, we're not going to let you call it Chianti. And he goes, hey, fangu, I'm just going to call it Tignanello. And thus the Super Tuscan craze was created, and the rest is history. So Piero Antinori, an innovator, and one of the few people that could get away with taking something like Chianti Classico off his label for a wine and still have the wine not miss a beat. Great stuff last night. One of the craziest things that's ever happened in a wine dinner, however. Diane and Steve, I'm really sorry. They did get their car back, but the valet gave their car to the wrong couple on the way out. I don't know how you drive somebody else's car all the way home, not realizing that it was your car that's not your car that you're in, but just one of those wacky things that happen, and I hung out with them until the people that drove all the way out to Coral Springs came back with their car. So sorry about that, Diane and Steve, but hey, crazier things. Well, I don't know if I've seen crazier things than that happen. That was pretty crazy. All right, folks, so that's what I had to drink last night. I'm your host, Andrew Lampazone, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.